Good evening and welcome to About the Valley. This is videotape, so we're not taking any calls tonight. So there's no phone number up there, so don't try calling because you won't get us. But I want to tell you, I have Bonnie Coombs is back, and Bonnie is here because we've got, well, spring is going to get here one of these days.
After the snow tomorrow.
Yes.
After the
Actually, this Thursday has been beautiful days, and before the calm before the big storm.
Yep.
But anyway, the snow is melting, and what do we got after the snow melts? We got litter everywhere. It is horrible.
It's really bad.
Just drive around and look out your window. It just, how people can be so slobs like that. I don't call them pigs because that's an insult to the animal. It's unbelievable how, I don't know if they do it without any conscience of the fact of what they're doing, but just throw this stuff out the window. Leave it in your car, bring it home.
Exactly. Thank you.
But anyway, Bonnie is working throughout the entire corridor, and this is from Leicester all the way down to Providence,
Yep.
to help clean up the Blackstone Valley. Believe it or not, we get a lot of tourists in the summer, and we're going to get more because we're now a national park. Would you want your house to be filthy when your guests come in?
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
this is the same thing. We got guests coming in. We don't want them to think that we're a bunch of slobs here, that we just throw stuff around. I mean, do you throw cigarette butts in your living room floor, or
Right.
do you throw your McDonald bags in front of the TV set? Well, some people may do that. I don't know. But for the most part, I think we're all pretty cautious. We throw it in the receptacle. But we don't do that with the litter from our cars. It's horrible. And then another big factor is plastic. All your drinks come in plastic now. Everything comes wrapped in plastic, and plastic may be a wonderful creation for making containers and for wrapping things, but it's a horrible thing to the environment.
Well, you raised a good point about the litter, and so what I'm finding when we do the cleanups, it's really sad, is that a lot of it could have been recycled if it was brought back home, rinsed out, and put in the bin. But instead it's contaminated, it's all dirty, and it has to go to the landfill. So all those precious resources between the plastic and the aluminum cans all have to go to the landfill when it could have just been brought home and recycled.
And the thing is, there's so many nice products that they can make out of it.
Did you know that aluminum can is a closed loop? It becomes an aluminum can in as fast as 60 days.
Yeah, they remake them into cans.
Right.
Yeah. And it saves us from excavating all that bauxite, because aluminum starts out as bauxite, as a mineral. And, you got to mine that stuff, and now we don't have to mine it because we already got tons of it laying around.
Plus we have a bottle bill, so those cans are worth money.
Yes.
So I don't understand why they're not being redeemed, but a lot of the aluminum I'm finding is, of course, alcohol, beer cans.
Yes.
And they don't want to be caught with it, so it gets tossed out windows. But again,
actually, there's people that make money going around picking them up, but there's not enough of people doing that. And it is, you don't realize it. I don't think anybody realizes, I'm the only guy doing it. No, there's many people doing it. I tell you, I clean up about an area of a block long in front of my house, and I'll fill a garbage bag, sometimes 2 garbage bags, with litter. And that's just from the side of the road. I'm not walking way into the woods because some of it blows into the woods. It's unbelievable how much is thrown out. And even on my lawn, I mean, that's like throwing it in my living room, as far as I'm concerned. I take care of my lawn, I cut my grass, I keep it well maintained, and there's somebody throwing junk on it. But let's get with the program here. Actually, now this is going to take place on 2 days.
Yep, so we're talking right now about the Northbridge community cleanup,
Right.
which is one of over 30 cleanups happening from Worcester all the way down to Providence this year. Northbridge, and I want to give a shout out to some of the awesome folks on my committee, we decided to make this a real community cleanup, and we're spreading it out over 2 days. And the idea, we're reaching out to a lot of local businesses as well. We'd like to get them to send employees out and really, like, we all have something at stake here, so let's clean up. And so when the visitors are coming through, we really show our pride for our community. So we're going to start it on the Friday afternoon of April 21st from noon to 5.
Which is Earth Day, right?
Actually, Saturday is.
Oh, okay, the 22nd.
So we're going to start it at noon on Friday, and you don't have to do it all 5 hours. It could be send somebody out for a couple hours. So we're just spreading it out so that someone could find some chunk of time to participate if businesses wanted to do it on Friday. It's also school vacation week, so families, if they're busy on the weekend, have the opportunity again, because there's a lot of sports conflicts on weekends. So there's an opportunity Friday, and then we're going to do it the following day again, Saturday, on Earth Day, from 9 to 1. So we're really hoping to get a lot of people to get involved this year.
Now, what you would like is people to sign up.
Right.
So
we
you have
know.
an idea of how
Yep.
many are doing this and gives you an idea how successful your program is.
Mhm.
And they can register at
Tiny URL.
Tiny URL.
Tiny
Okay.
URL, that's a way to shorten your, so when you create an event and you got this long convoluted website with letters and numbers and all this stuff, it's all gobbledygook. You can shorten it by going to tinyurl.com,
Oh,
and then you can create your own extension. So it's tinyurl.com/Northbridge Cleanup.
and I went to the website myself, checked it out.
Yep.
You can actually check off what area you would be interested in cleaning.
Mhm.
And there's all kinds of places in town.
Mhm.
I was happy to see you had my street on here, Benton Road.
Mhm.
And, I was telling Barney, I go out and clean up a portion of my street on my own. If everyone just went out and cleaned up around your neighborhood,
Mhm.
what an immense job that would be to clean up the Northbridge.
Mhm.
I will tell you that we have an American Legion meeting here next Tuesday. We've closed for the winter. We don't meet all winter long, but now spring has arrived. We will meet the first Tuesday in April. And I'm going to suggest to the members that they come down here on April 22nd just to clean up our area around here. If you go out in our parking lot and just look around, it's unbelievable the mess out there.
Mhm.
And people like to eat their lunch here, and when they're done, they throw the bags out, and the cups and the bottles, and then there's a few people that like to take in a little more vibrant stuff.
Mhm.
The little nips.
Mhm.
They're everywhere out there.
They are.
It's unbelievable.
In fact, there's most recently there's a state representative from Sandwich, Mass, Representative Hunt, who's filing a bill to potentially add a 5-cent deposit.
Oh,
But there's been pushback. There's somebody in Maine that's trying the same thing.
on all liquor bottles?
Mhm. But before I forget, because again, I have some very special people to thank, and Heather Elster from the Whiten Community Center
Yes.
is really helping to lead the charge in reaching out to the businesses. We also have ERA Key Realty is involved this year. Unibank is a great supporter. Koopman Lumber and Jim from Tom Berkowitz Trucking is helping.
Yeah, and they're gonna
So-
take care of all the rubbish that's
Right.
picked up.
So we're on the planning committee doing a lot of the outreach.
Yeah.
So, so again, to register, so it's actually tinyurl.com/Northbridge Cleanup, and we have a 17 at the end of it. So Northbridge Cleanup 17, because last year's was just cleanup. So this year's is Northbridge Cleanup 17 for 2017.
Now, if you do sign up,
Mhm.
and you get out to your place, right,
Mhm.
down in Linwood Mill,
Mhm.
you can get yourself while they last.
So what we do is just to point out, so what we do is we do a lot of outreach to the different towns to offer support. So when folks volunteer with the Blackstone Heritage Corridor, we manage the volunteer program for the National Park Service.
Right.
And that provides liability coverage.
So
if
yeah,
someone
that's
were to
good
get
because
hurt-
if you get
so
hurt,
you're
you
covered for any liability.
Yeah.
And we also have acquired through some different grants as we created these safety kits. So we got safety vests and special litter pickers, litter grabbers, so you don't
Yeah,
have
so
to
it's
reach into
something that
the
you don't
weeds.
particularly want to pick up.
Right.
You grab it with
Yeah,
that and drop
so
it right
these
in the
are
bag.
orange, and we provide gloves, and we have trash bags and whatnot. So we come with the whole safety kit
Yep.
and the insurance so that everybody's clearly identified that they're out there.
But you need to come down to your place and sign up.
Nope, the website.
Oh, you can do it on the website?
You can do
Well,
it
how
on the
would you get
website.
How would they get their equipment?
Oh, it was on the day of.
Oh,
So we're
okay.
going to be set up for this one. We're going to be
You
at
can
the,
sign up in advance, but then be down there on the day of.
Right, so we're going to be at the Whiten Park, at the community center. We'll have a tent.
On Friday.
But also, if groups sign up in advance, we can work with them to get supplies in advance. I know there's a group over in Rockdale that doesn't want to come over to the park the morning of. They just want to hit the ground running. So we can work to get equipment to them
Uh-huh.
in advance.
Yeah.
But for most people, everyone else, you can
If you
come
can put
to
a
the
group
park.
together
Right.
and then work with Bonnie, they can arrange to have the rubbish picked up.
Mhm.
So you get all these bags after you gotta get rid of them. She'll arrange them that Jimmy at Tom Berkowitz Trucking will have somebody down there to collect all those bags.
Right. And if you don't want to do the website, you can call me. The office is 508-234-4242 and ask for me, and I can get you signed up if the website, if you don't want to do the online registration.
Now, are you seeing if they can, are you gonna try to sort some of the stuff out? Do I keep the bottles separate?
No, we can't do that.
No, that would
it'll be too dirty.
That would be, yeah, it'd be
Yeah.
almost
Not
an
a good
impossible
idea.
feat.
Right.
So you can just, it's all gonna be collected together, just throw it all in the bags. Are they special colored bag?
I'm working with Jim Shuris and Jamie over at the DPW.
Yes.
So they're giving me some, and then I may have some from Koopman's.
Oh, okay, so it'll be recognizable.
Mm-hmm.
And you can get a nice vest, so you
And
won't
that's a
get.
one-day only vest. We need
Right.
those back.
Oh,
So
okay,
we
yeah.
have over 30 cleanups. In fact, we had one that was going to be this
So
Saturday.
the collection equipment has to come back.
Right, you have to
Yeah.
bring it back, yeah, so that we can continue to do the good work we're doing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause it'd be expensive to keep buying these things.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, it's a worthwhile venture, and it's not a difficult thing to do. And it's something, here's something, if you got a group of people, if you're just a bunch of kids that hang out together, give you something to do for the day and
Mm-hmm.
really do some good.
Mhm.
I mean, there's no doubt, and you can pick your area.
Yes, so we have on the website there, the registration site, there's a link for, you can pick a street.
Yeah, this is not just the Blackstone River.
No, this is a lot of the roadsides.
All the
or
roadways
if you work
everywhere.
with the young kids, you can pick a local park,
Yeah,
you know. But there are a lot of places by the water that do have a good shoulder or sidewalk to work on.
yes.
So,
Yeah, so you're not necessarily going down in the river. I know we did a cleanup with my son when he went for his Eagle Scout. This is many years ago, back in the 80s. And we cleaned the Blackstone River from Riverdale to the Rockdale Mill. And I actually walked in the river.
mhm.
And the stuff we pulled out was unbelievable. I mean, especially when we got down into the Rockdale Village. I'm pulling TV sets out like it was the appliance department at Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
It's just unbelievable. And you know, when you do this, you're hurting yourself as well as your neighbors. Because you live here too.
Even if you can't do it that day, even if you just clean up your street and add it to your own trash that day, if
Yes.
you don't want to get involved with all this and go down, you know, even if people just take ownership of their street or find a local storm drain, those are really critical. Is
Yes.
if there's a storm drain on your street, because we can't hit all the streets. There's only so many people that are going to help.
Exactly.
But even just,
But if everybody lived on a street, one person on every street went out and did their street, what an amazing job that would be.
Mhm.
And just give Bonnie a call or go on net and let her know you're doing that so she can say, okay, oh, this street was done, this one was done. Oh my God, this is real successful. We really had
yeah,
a,
we definitely want to know about it. And also have people report into us if they can't do it, but there's a street that they think really needs attention. I want to know about that too, so we can
Yes.
try to hit it. So it's not, you know, we just want the community to be helping in all kinds of ways, reporting certain areas if you see illegal dumping. You know, let me know about the street that's bothering you so that we make sure that it gets on the list if you can't be there.
yeah, so if you live on a street and you're elderly and you're not going to be able to handle it, just give her a call. I mean, I know I have a lot of elderly people who watch this show. Well, here's your opportunity to get your street cleaned just by letting them know what's going on, because it is a big problem. Well, we want to get into the maps a little bit here.
Okay,
This is a brand new map.
brand new map. It's
Has
a brand
come
new
out.
map for the Blackstone River Valley National Heritage
If I
Corridor.
can open this
So
up.
when, so the corridor was created by an act of Congress back in '86, and then in 2014, it was declared a National Historical Park, that some of the area, and what they did is they added an additional community, so we needed to update the map to reflect the new community. So Auburn was added in 2014, so this reflects Auburn, and the little arrowheads here from the National Park Service show the areas that they're focusing on. They call them nodes, but they're creating historic districts in these different communities. And those are going to be the areas of concentration for telling the story of the National Historical
And
Park.
this map goes out actually internationally. I mean, people can get this all over the place
If they,
if they're interested.
yeah, for now, we
'Cause-
have them in the communities, we have them in the visitors rack, but someone
But I
can
know
call
there
and
are
request
people-
a copy. Yeah,
People that like to make their vacations visiting national parks. And, you know, you think of national parks, we're not talking just Glacier National Park or Yellowstone. They're talking places like this.
Yep.
That are now becoming a part of the system. And if you go all up and down the East Coast, you got national parks, Gettysburg, you got them in Virginia. In fact, I think almost every state along the East Coast. I mean, I got a great national park up in Maine, Arcadia.
Yes.
I love that place.
Yep.
And you know, this is so you got people coming from all over the world to see this. And on the other side is the okay, this is the watershed.
So this is a brand new watershed map, so people have had great interest to see what are the boundaries, where does the river start, what other tributaries are impacted by the watershed. So when we talk about pollution and you hear about plastic ocean and all these things, you might not think that that impacts us here or that we have anything to do with it, but in fact we do, because anything that enters those storm drains or ends up in the river, all that roadside litter, there's so many waterways in the corridor.
Oh,
And
it's
they
amazing
all-
how much
Something,
water.
you know, easily blows down and then it goes into the
Yeah.
river, and then this goes out into the bay, which is the ocean. So we all have a part to play.
I had someone once say to me, his son, got his pilot's license and planes, man's now deceased, but he says, I was amazed when I went up there and seen how much water there is. Yes, you'd be amazed. You know, when you're driving down a road, there's trees, so you don't really see a lot of the lakes and streams and everything else. But they're out there, and if you go up in an airplane and look down, you'd be amazed how much of our area is covered by water.
Exactly.
And all this water eventually flows down into the Blackstone River, which is the main central mass corridor for the
Yes.
river right down through Rhode
And the
Island.
canal.
And so any pollution that's going into even streams as far away as, out in anywhere that's where you come down into the valley. So if you go out to Douglas Res, the Manchog Pond, all that eventually it flows into the Blackstone River. And then that all ends up down in Narragansett Bay.
That's right.
And then we're out there. The fish that we eat is being caught over there in Narragansett Bay, or if you're a big lobster guy, maybe, well, my lobsters are coming from Maine. It's irrelevant. This pollution gets into the oceans continue, and there's tides, there's tides, and then there's currents and everything else. So this stuff gets washed all around the place. And we were talking earlier about how fish now are being found with little pieces of plastic.
That's right. They're eating it as food. And
Yeah.
what happens is it gets broken down into smaller pieces.
Yep.
And it creates a rough surface once it's been moving around out there. And the documentary we just screened recently, A Plastic Ocean, shows and describes how the plastic gets this rough surface, and that's where all the toxins adhere to. And they
Yep.
go for a ride. And then the fish eat it, and that ends up in their flesh, so we end up eating all the toxins.
Yeah, now you wouldn't think about sitting down and eating a piece of that plastic,
Right.
but then you are.
And some of it is so microscopic, they call it microplastic.
Yes.
It gets very, very small. And not just the fish, but seabirds. I don't know if you've seen
Yeah.
documentaries about that. But the seabirds are also eating the plastic and they're dying. So it's a global problem, and so we can start right here in Northbridge.
Yeah, well, I know it's been a problem with sea turtles for years, but even a bigger stuff with them. But
Oh, speaking of sea turtles, because one image, and a lot of kids are very impressionable, and they come to me and tell me things they've seen on the internet and TV and whatnot. But how the sea turtles will sometimes have a drinking straw stuck in their nose,
yes,
or you've seen seabirds and turtles and other birds have the plastic six-pack rings. You know how
yes,
they
yeah, they get caught
Well,
on
I have a
them.
new recycling program for that too. I don't know if you saw that. So there is a program called ringleader.com, and they have a free mailback program. So you can be collecting. I drink a lot of the polar seltzer, the flavored stuff, and I buy it by the case, and it comes
Yes.
with the six-pack rings on it. And it was driving me nuts. I mean, I know they say the right thing to do is to cut them before you dispose of them, but I wanted to take it a step
But
further.
they're still out there.
But I wanted to recycle them. So
Right.
I researched and found out the company that actually makes them recycles them. And they have a free mailback program. So I launched this program at Millhouse Wine and Spirits at the Linwood Mill. So we have a display set up, so when you walk in, you can just leave your six-pack rings there, and we're going to collect them and put them in a box and ship them back. It's all free shipping.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, see, so you could just drop them off there.
Yes.
See, now, so simple.
And the other thing we're talking about plastic is actually tonight we're screening a free movie at Blackstone Valley Tech. We're screening a film called Bag It, Is Your Life Too Plastic? And it takes a look at all the single-use plastic and all the plastic that's in our lives and the chemicals and blah, blah, blah. And there's a focus on plastic bags. You may have heard a lot of communities are banning plastic bags. In fact, Grafton is making progress.
Uh-huh.
They're going to be voting in May whether to ban single-use plastic bags or not. But so I hope all our listeners know that your plastic shopping bags like this can be and should be returned to your local grocery store. They have bins at local
When
grocery
you
stores.
walk in the door of
Right.
Shaw's or Walmart, it's right there.
Yep.
There's a bin.
Yep,
I do it all the time. It's not a difficult thing to do.
exactly. So
And I don't do it every time I go there. What I do is I leave a bag in my office, and I just keep collecting them. When it gets filled, I'll take it
Right.
with me.
So what people might not know is that it gets recycled into plastic lumber. So I brought samples today.
Yes.
It's hard to tell on TV if it's wood or plastic, but you can see they even color them. You can get them in different colors, and Koopmans actually sells the Trex product. But
This
Trex
is
the company,
fantastic
right,
stuff. Let me tell you, I had my porch done in it. You don't have to paint it.
Right.
It maintains itself. It maintains its look.
Yep.
It's amazing. It's amazing stuff. It doesn't rot. You don't get termites.
Right.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, low
this is
maintenance.
Very low maintenance. It's great stuff.
And you're using a recycled product.
Right.
But what people might not know is that in addition to your shopping bags like this, you can recycle all kinds of what Trex calls stretchy plastic. And there's a lot out there. So I brought some samples. Now this is just from my office because I have a little bag hanging up in my cubicle.
Yep.
And I intercept so much plastic just in the office alone. So
Oh, it's amazing. We're
we
surrounded by this stuff.
So we get toilet paper, for
Yeah.
instance, on. So
Almost everything's
this
packaged
overwrap
now.
is from this, and I'm going to do a demonstration. You can push your finger through. That's considered stretchy
Stretch
film.
plastic.
So they call it stretch plastic or plastic film. But another example is
bottle of
someone
water.
brought into work a six-pack or so here of iced tea covered in this plastic. Again, you can push your finger through. And then if you order things online, everything comes individually wrapped in plastic. I don't even know what this was from. But also in here, the air pillows. So this is
yes,
deflated,
yes.
but thank gosh now companies are staying away from styrofoam and they're using these air pillows, but you can pop the air out of them, and these are all stretchy plastic, so those can go in. Ziploc bags, your snack bags.
Yes.
As long as everything's clean and dry, your Bounty paper towels. I mean, it's just great, and so people come to my cubicle throughout the day and are contributing. But what's really great is Trex does a school recycling challenge. They kick it off on America Recycles Day, which is November 15th, and it runs through April 15th. So schools collect all the plastics. So they tell the community, hey, bring all this stuff temporarily instead of going to grocery, bring it to the schools. So the kids get this awareness. They weigh it all, and they track the weights,
Yep.
and then they bring it to the grocery stores, and they send their totals into Trex. And the winning school in this geographic area will win a bench made out of this plastic for their school.
Now, see, you don't have to bring it to yourself. Send it with your kids.
Right. So right now we have Blackstone Valley Tech doing it, which impacts 13 communities, which is fabulous. And we have Northbridge High School doing it, and Whiten Elementary School over in Uxbridge.
Wow.
So I hope next year to have even more schools, but for the first year, I feel really great about having that much geographic area covered, especially with Blackstone Valley Tech. So to celebrate, so Tom Lamont is the teacher. He runs the sign shop. He runs the Students for Environmental Awareness Club. And so he does these after-school activities with the club all about the environment. And so he's helping run the challenge, and we're hosting the screening. And it was actually Betsy Brewer from Earth Limited who bought several copies of this documentary for schools to show to the students and the faculty. And there's actually a curriculum that goes along with it. So if there's a school out there listening, or you know somebody from a school, we can get that educational copy of the DVD to them. They could run it with the faculty so they learn, and then they could find a way to incorporate it into the school program. There's a nice curriculum. So, if there's not time during the day, a lot of schools have to have these after-school clubs.
Yes.
And they could work it in that way.
I was in Cub Scouts many years ago. And I remember doing a skit on littering.
Mm-hmm.
It hasn't changed.
Oh, okay.
People are still doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you think we were talking about it. This is back in the, I had to be in the late 50s. So we're talking over 50 years ago, talking how littering was a problem, and we're still talking about it to this day.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the slogan back then was "Don't be a litter bug," and people are still. I mean, I just don't understand the reasoning behind it.
Mm-hmm.
Why it's not that difficult to carry a bag in your car.
Well, we have one. I should have brought it with me. I brought it one of the previous shows, but we have. It's a nice black car litter bag that has snaps. You can put it behind your headrest in your car, or on your bicycle. We even have a volunteer that puts it on his belt loop and puts a little plastic bag inside, because he likes to collect litter too.
Yep.
So he has a little
So
system,
he's walking along
and it fits on your baby stroller, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's made all out of recycled plastic bottles, and the message is on it: trash responsibly. With our logo. It's $5 if you want to come and get one to support the good work that we do. But it's a very simple way, because a lot of the parks are carry in, carry out. So you go to a rest stop or you go to a park, there aren't trash cans. And the onus is on us to be caretakers of our planet.
They couldn't afford to do it anymore because it was getting out of hand.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the problems we have today, is that it used to be you went to the dump and you get rid of your rubbish.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't cost anything. Well, there's no more dumps.
Mm-hmm.
And it's good because landfills are not really working well.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to call a trash hauler, but now you got to pay to get rid of your trash. So what are people doing? They're dumping it anywhere they can. We have it happen out here. We have recycling bins out here for clothes and shoes.
Oh, I see what happens with that. People, they empty. They're moving and they just leave it all by the dumpster.
My God.
And I drive by and I said, well, who do they think is going to take care of that? It's not the company coming to get the clothes. They're not equipped to handle it. So I think the burden falls on the town, and then that ends up costing taxpayers.
Exactly. We've actually got cameras now, and we've actually called the police on several people, and they made them come down and clean it up.
Oh.
But, I mean, that shouldn't have to be that way. Now, the other day, it was right after the snow melted, somebody dumped a bunch of junk out there. and they're dumping toys and household dishes and stuff. It doesn't say that. It says shoes and clothes.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's pretty simple. If you want to get rid of that other stuff, there are places that will take that.
Right, Salvation Army's right here in Northbridge.
Yeah.
They're the best. You
Yeah.
know, that they take that. You can find resources. We have a recycling center here in Northbridge.
Right.
There are a lot of resources online that you wouldn't believe where you can take things to give them a second life. But when you dump them and you leave them out in the elements, then it does become trash. But there's other places to bring these items that then they can be reused. There's actually a place up in Worcester that keeping tabs on called the Free Store, where they take donations of all things and they give them out for free.
Yep.
So it's all about keeping it in this, as a
And you know,
cycle to reuse centers.
We had a guy, the first day we had the camera up there, we had a guy, and we got him dead right on camera, he looks right at it, putting a mattress up.
Okay.
If you buy a mattress, the place you buy it will take it. Take your old one.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of their agreement. So if you go to one of these furniture stores and buy a mattress, tell them, look, I want my own one picked up.
Mm-hmm.
They do pick them up, and then it'll get disposed of properly.
Mm-hmm.
The highway department had a situation, they have a snow blower, and they were cleaning the sidewalk, and somebody had left the mattress on the sidewalk. Well, needless to say, destroyed the snow blower.
Oh boy, oh boy.
Yeah, it cost them a lot of money and a lot of time. They lost it for the whole season trying to get all those wires out.
Okay, oh wow.
Yeah, so I mean, be responsible. You're costing your neighbors a lot of money as well as yourself for just by being stupid. Now, there's a couple of mattresses down at Sammy's has got a clothing recycling, and there's 2 mattresses sitting next to it.
You know, and I'll say a little something too for our friends who are the haulers, like Jim at Berkowitz. He deals with this all the time, is people will put things that don't belong in the bin. And I asked him one day, I went
Yes.
to the center to get a tour when I was new to the community, and asked, well, what are the problems? What message can I bring back to the community? What are they doing wrong? And a lot of it is plastic bags,
Yep.
but also they're putting wood and they're putting
Yes.
metal. Now, just because your tomato sauce cans could go in the bin
Doesn't mean the lid
doesn't
can.
mean not like pipes and big pieces of metal. I mean, metal can be recycled, but not in your bin.
Right.
So you can bring it to the center
Yep.
or to a scrap yard, but you
Yes.
can't put this stuff in your bin. And
No.
just like wood, plywood does not go in your curbside recycling.
No,
So they're putting all kinds of crazy stuff in there that ends up in his yard that he has to dispose of.
Right.
So
He has to sort it. Well, he'll dispose it, but he has to sort it out, and that's time-consuming and costly.
right. So we were just at the Blackstone Valley Home and Business Expo. I hope you all got a chance to go. It was a great show, and we had a lot of people coming up talking to us. And, I had my 6-pack ring recycling, and we were making reusable bags out of T-shirts, and we had all this going on. And people would say, oh, well, my recycling guy doesn't take my blah, 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 my plastic. And I asked somebody, well, what are we talking about?
Of course
and
they
she
do.
said, oh, he pulls out the plastic bags. And so I had to explain to her that plastic bags don't go in your curbside. They go to the grocery store, all
Right.
these things. So I went over to Jim, and I suggested, and I hope this comes to pass next year, he's on board, but at the expo they do these activities. You can go to this other room or go to the back of the room, and they do demonstrations and whatnot. So I said to Jim, I said, we need to do a recycling workshop. I'll just have it going all day, right? So we'll bring all sorts of these crazy items. I've seen it in the documentary Bag It tonight. This is where I got the idea, is that they had all these items in a couple of recycle bins, and then people that were at this event, they went up and said, okay, now try to sort this. Does this go in recycling or trash? And then they were putting all sorts of wrong things into the recycling. So I want to get a buzzer, have it go, right? So
Yeah.
then the audience goes, whoa, what just happened? So then we can pull it out and explain why this item doesn't go in the bin. And I think it'll be very educational for everybody, because there's a lot of confusion about what can go in the bin. Although it's pretty clear, and Berkowitz does a great job, they have a nice one-sheet visual with photographs
Yep.
that clearly show glass bottles, plastic bottles, tin cans. There's certain items only for municipal recycling that go in the bin. And again, I stress, so the stuff we're finding on the side of the road, there are homes for them. They might take a little more effort to be recycled, but they just don't go in the bin.
And the thing is today that it's commingled.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have to have a separate bin for this and this and this. You can put it all together, but it's only the stuff that they can recycle.
Right, and every community is different. So this is the thing I'm finding. Like Rhode Island has a whole different recycling system. And some
Right.
communities are what they call single stream, where everything, including paper, goes in a bin. It's
Right.
way different. And then some communities, paper's separate, but glass and plastic can go together. So it really depends on your community and who your hauler is too.
Right, and how because they have to, eventually it has to be broken down.
Right.
So you they want to make it as simple as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And because it can be costly to breaking it down when you get there, but yeah. But it's not a hard thing to do.
No.
And like the plastic bags, I mean, you're going to be at the supermarket minimum once a week.
Mm-hmm.
You bring them with you. When you walk in the door, I know I've been to Shaw's and Walmart and Stop and Shop. They're right there.
Mm-hmm.
It's right there when you walk in. Just dump it. No charge. They're more than glad to take it. They're all set up for it.
Right. When they passed, when they came out with the plastic bags, actually that's how it got, the system was created to recycle them. So
Right.
the companies that are giving them out have to take them back.
Yes. And if
The big box retailers, the big ones, not all the little stores, but big box retailers that give them out. And it all gets backhauled. So there's a system where it goes in the back, and then it goes to their main distribution point, and then other companies come and get them, like Trex, and then they get recycled.
And, if you like the plastic bags, they are a little more convenient than paper.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can grab them by the handles and you can grab a multitude of them at once. Whereas with the real paper bags, you had to.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to go back to paper bags if you don't, because we're going to have to. Because it's just getting out of hand. These things are ending up on the sides of the road and.
Mm-hmm. They're in the trees. It's driving me crazy.
Oh my God! Isn't it unbelievable?
I drive from Blackstone here to Whitensville every day, and
Isn't it unbelievable?
It's just crazy the amount of. And you go off an exit ramp. I was in Rhode Island today, and they're all stuck in the. I was down by the canal in Lincoln yesterday, right by the canal. And it wasn't a busy road. It was a residential street down to get to the Kelly house, and there's 2 bags stuck in the tree right by the canal.
Because they don't deteriorate.
No, they don't.
At least paper will eventually break down.
Mm-hmm.
But these things, they're there forever.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks so horrible when
It's the look of it too, and
Oh.
and then once they're up there, we
Yeah,
can't
how do you
get
get
them
them?
out.
Yeah,
We
who's
can't
going to get them out?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't understand. I mean, that's another thing too now. Balloon releases can be a problem too.
Yep. In fact, the town of Newport just banned, Newport, Rhode Island just banned balloon releases
because-
as an activity.
Yeah, those are going to end up in the ocean for sure.
Oh, they do, and I find them. In fact, there are a couple in a tree at the Linwood Mill where I park my car. Right in the parking lot at the Linwood Mill, the river comes down.
Yes.
Goes behind, so we park our cars, and I love the mill. It's beautiful. We have the waterfall,
Yes.
Wildlife, and I park my car, and there's ducks swimming by.
Mm-hmm.
But right there in the bushes, there are 2 balloons stuck up on the tree, and I can't get them.
Oh.
So it's just a constant
Yes, that's
reminder.
another. Yeah, and eventually they're going to deflate.
Yeah.
And that plastic's going to end up in the Mumford River,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe a duck will eat it
Right.
and choke on it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it doesn't. That's why you shouldn't have any balloon releases at all.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it happened by accident.
Accident, right, but
But-
on purpose.
But
Because people, like, when the common expression is, oh, just throw it away. Well, there is no away.
No,
And if you stop and you ask yourself the question, where is away? It's
it's in somebody else's yard.
right.
Yeah, I mean, you may be throwing it away from you, but you're giving it to someone else who doesn't want it.
Mm-hmm.
It's so simple. And if everyone just adhered to it, what a difference it would make. We got such beautiful scenery around here. You just drive around Northbridge. You can go out by the ponds, out by Meadow Pond, especially in the fall. It's beautiful out there. down where you are, the waterfall, and you don't want to see plastic bags coming over the waterfall. I mean, we want to look as much as natural nature as
Right.
possible.
And the problem is it's building year over year. So my concern is if we don't all mobilize and care about our communities and try to get these cleanups happening, where are we going to be in 5 years?
Right.
Like, it's beginning to look like a third world country when you go down some of these roads, and it breaks my heart because.
You know, there are some good things happening. You know, I'm on a planning board, and we did the site review for the new DPW. Well, when they started working on it, they found a number of things. Was a lot of drainage there now that was put in 1948. Well, 1948 drainage was simple. You put a pipe to the nearest stream. Well, of course, the Mumford River.
Mm-hmm.
So these trucks are coming in from salting, and there's salt down there because they got the salt bin. Well, where is that salt ending up?
Mm-hmm.
You know, now they're going to be putting a whole new drainage system in, where it'll go into a detention pond,
Okay.
which will filter it, and then when it goes into Mumford, it goes in with clean water. As well as the fact that the septic system down there, they found out, went from the bathroom to a tank, and that was it.
Okay.
Not even a leach field.
Oh, wow.
Well, a tank that's been there since 1948, I'm going to assume must have filled up. So when it fills up, it's going somewhere. Well, the obvious place, got to be the Mumford River.
Wow.
And yeah, I remember growing up in Rock, the Blackstone stunk. But the toilets, the people's bathrooms, that if you lived along the Blackstone, your plumbing went from your house right straight to the Blackstone.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you would see toilet paper going down the river. We've recovered from that back in the 70s when the EPA came about.
The Clean Water Act.
The Clean Water Act.
And there was a movement called
And-
Zap the Blackstone.
Yeah, everybody. Grafton didn't have a septic
Right.
sewer system. They had to put one in. We have, and we had to extend it, and all these people had to connect to it. And we've come a long way. The Blackstone it's so much cleaner than when I grew up.
Mhm.
I mean, it lost the smell. You don't have the suds that used to come down the river.
Mhm.
And it was like snow.
Yep.
It was everywhere. That was from the textile mills. This is all gone. You know, we are. I know we're the birthplace of the Industrial Revolution, and mostly because of the fact we had these strong rivers that were flowing by and they could use the water power, but they polluted them in the process as well.
Mhm.
Well, that's all gone. So let's celebrate. We can celebrate the history, but let's not celebrate the bad part of it.
Mhm.
And let's be good stewards as well. We're not polluting the river. Let's not pollute it ourselves individually.
You know, I wanted to point out too, we're talking a lot about the river, and I want to give a shout out to another group, the Blackstone River Watershed Association. So here at the corridor, we just created this Trash Responsibly program a couple of years ago. This is like our second year in earnest, working with the communities to get town-wide cleanups happening.
Yes.
But the folks at the Watershed Association have been doing this for a long time, and they focus in all the communities that impact the river, and they may pick the river itself or a tributary, but they've been doing this for a long time, and their annual event is Saturday, April 29th.
A week
And
after.
So April 29th, and it's from 1 to 3, and they're working in the different communities, picking sites, so you can go to their website, thebrwa.org, and there's more information on there about that.
Now,
So
they
you-
actually clean up the river and its tributaries, right?
Right. So they have different captains this year taking, because there's 14 communities. So they have captains in different areas
Yes.
of this mass portion of the corridor. And so volunteers can, let's say you lived in Sutton, you could just inquire, and then they'll pick a site
Yes.
and they'll clean it. So it's a 2-hour event, and then all the volunteers report back to Riverbend Farm in Uxbridge that afternoon after the cleanup, and there's pizza and refreshments, and then there's a clean and green fair put on by Alternatives.
Oh,
So you
I
can,
actually,
you can come and so like the watershed's there, the Blackstone River Headwaters Coalition is there, all sorts of environmental groups, so you can come and celebrate, you know.
Right.
So there's lots of opportunities. So if you don't mind, I can tell viewers about all the
No, no.
cleanups.
Oh,
Because
absolutely,
if you're
no.
busy Earth Day, but you want to give back and get involved, so the BRWA is a great one to get involved with. So the whole cleanup season, I made all these phone calls and trying to put things together, and some of them have to overlap because there's only so many Saturdays in April and whatnot. But a new one for us this year is in Uxbridge. And that one came together very quickly, but because the calendar was already filled up from going up the top, we compared notes, and one of the selectmen, who's also a Cub Scout leader, we both had April 1st open, which was going high up the list because 29, 22, 15, 8, those were all taken for me to come out with the supplies and whatnot.
Right.
So we picked the first, and we were really excited. On the Common, we had first night Uxbridge donating hot dogs, and
Oh, but you're going to have a big problem.
Koopman donated bags, and everybody's giving, and people, over 100 people have signed up, and now we have weather.
Yeah, you got a big
So
problem.
we just decided
You got a
today,
horrible storm
we're
coming
going to
in.
do it May 6th.
Oh, okay.
So instead of being the first, it'll be the last,
Well, you picked a safer date.
a safer date. So I think next year, maybe not do the first weekend in April. It's too close.
No, I mean,
But,
well, you never know. I mean, it could be beautiful, but it also can have you can have a major snowstorm,
Right.
which we may have.
But so then next weekend we have a cleanup happening in Mendon. Last year we got one started. They were the last in the season, so now they're the first. Because this one's canceled, but May 8th, and it's a lot more folks are coming in because it's their 350th anniversary this year.
Yes, that's right.
So May 8th we meet at the Klopp School, and another great community, the Mendon Lions, come and provide refreshments afterwards. They cook hamburgers and hot dogs. And Southwick Zoo is a part of it, and they're going to give free admission tickets to all volunteers.
Oh,
Yep.
wow.
So it's a great way to get involved in that community. So that's on the 8th. And then at the other end of the corridor down in, it's going to be in Pawtucket this year, the 10 Mile River Watershed Association, a very active group along the 10 Mile Greenway. If you haven't been down there, it's a beautiful bikeway and river place to enjoy. They're going to be working in Slater Park along the Greenway. So that's happening there. And then on the 15th, we have a cleanup in Upton, a new one this year. A local resident had read about what we were doing. Upton was a community that I couldn't seem to get all the right people
They're
in a
an
row.
important tributary with the West River coming into the
Right.
Blackstone.
So we have a cleanup 10:30 to 12:30 on the 15th. We're going to meet at the VFW parking lot.
Yeah,
So that's happening. And then the 22nd
you have a busy
is
spring.
here in Northbridge. I might forget a couple and I might have to go back. But the 29th, my hometown, Blackstone, we
Yeah.
do this every year. It's very, very awesome. Bill Walsh, the Board of Health, really gets behind it. And we get people mobilized. A lot of it's the kids who need community service. So if anybody listening and you have kids in schools, a lot of them require community service to
Yes.
graduate. So this is a great opportunity, you know, because you're volunteering with the National Park Service. We can give you valid signatures that they did their service. And then again, in Blackstone, they grill up hamburgers and hot dogs for the great community event. And again, so then that afternoon is the BRWA event.
Oh,
And then, I do have to go back. Okay, so the 29th, the town of Sutton does not do a townwide cleanup, but the Manchog Pond Foundation has a big
yes.
cleanup for the Manchog Pond. So they are on that day. Also, there's a lively group in Upton, the Friends of the Upton State Forest. They clean the forest. So they're the 29th as well. Okay. Oh, Grafton. Grafton is the 29th.
You got to break yourself out into
Well,
multiple
some
people.
of these they're already sustaining, so they don't need my help.
Uh-huh.
But I like to keep tabs on
Yes.
who's doing what, so we can divert our volunteers that want
Right.
to help. So in Grafton, it's the garden club that does it every year.
Oh,
So they meet on the Grafton Commons, so they're the 29th. Millbury does, last year they came out last minute and provided bags. Residents could go to town hall and get bags and clean. and let them know. And then that Monday they came. Last I heard, I didn't know if that was happening, but we are mobilizing something happening along the bike path in Millbury on the 29th with the BRWA. Auburn does one every other year, run by the Chamber of Commerce, so this is their year.
Oh.
So May 6th is up in Auburn. Leicester, can't forget them, they are doing Sunday the 23rd, and they're going to meet at the Town Common. And then Becker College is doing something on the 17th to clean up the Town Common. So there's 2 events in Leicester. Mendon, Oxford. Oh, Douglas doesn't have one, but I'm working with someone to include that as part of the BRWA cleanup. There's a resident there that reached out to me, so I'm actually going to join her. And there's something on Route 16, she says, is like a parking area that people are littering, so we're going to clean that. So I think I covered, there's a lot, but.
You covered most of the towns.
But we have all this information on our website, or you can contact
Yes.
me. And I want to also thank a lot of local newspapers have been really generous. So the Blackstone Valley Tribune ran the whole press release. I wrote my first 5-page press release. And I thought,
pages.
wow, maybe this isn't going to work, Bonnie, you know? It was double spaced, but.
It's a lot of newsprint.
It told the story kicking off in Uxbridge and then
Yes.
moving on to Mendon. And I had anecdotes and giving credit to people like the resident in Upton, Laura Wall. I wanted to share the story how a resident came forward and we worked with the Board of Health and DPW to make it happen. So I wanted to give credit to people.
Right.
So the story just weaves all,
All through the
including Rhode
valley.
Island. So they ran the whole thing. So that was an issue ago in there. But just before I left the office, the Uxbridge Times just came, and that covers Northbridge.
Yep.
And that's on the front page. So all this, and the Mendon Upton Crier ran some of the information. They shortened it a little bit for their communities. But yeah, I can't say enough about
Valley
the
Blue-
Valley and the newspapers and the support that we get in sharing the information on the good work that we do. So the info's out there. If you can't find it, call me. I'll hook you up because there's a lot of good things happening and a lot of great people in these communities that are helping to make it happen.
It's so simple to take your community for granted if you live here. And the beauty that's here.
Mhm.
And all you gotta, and you take it for granted, but you have people coming in and they say, wow, what a great place.
Mhm.
This is beautiful. Well, we gotta keep it looking that way. It's so easy to do. I mean, spring, and hopefully, if people see us clean, they'll think twice about throwing that paper bag or the plastic bag out the window of their car, because I'm not gonna be the first guy to litter that. Let it go. I mean, it's not that hard to do.
Right.
And like I said, I'm gonna try and get the Legionnaires here together, and we're gonna try and clean up all this area up here.
Mhm.
This place is a disaster. When the snow melts, it's unbelievable what you see.
Mhm.
And this is happening all over. I mean, we got the shiny rocks up here. I would like to see somebody do some cleaning up there, because I know I've been up there
Okay.
hiking, and it's, you could take out a full garbage bag with you if you just walk through and just pick it up as you go.
Oh, speaking of which, I'll tell you something exciting too about this. So, we have this beautiful map, and this
Yes.
cover photo was submitted to us by Judith Belbin. It was in our calendar last year, but this is actually from the Hopedale Parklands. Have you been to that beautiful 3-mile trail all along Hopedale Pond?
Oh.
Okay, you can access it on Hopedale Street at the beach, just behind in that little park area is the start of the trail. And so anyway, so I've been out exploring.
You know where I want to go? I just came back from
Yeah.
Rhode Island. We came back through Blackstone. They've done a great job with the bike path down there.
Mhm.
Nice bridges and all.
Yes.
Yes, it really looks good. I can't ride a bicycle anymore because of my arthritis, but I can walk a little bit, and I'd like to walk that. Just to walk along that, it just looks like a nice area through there.
So what I think you're talking about is the new Blackstone River Greenway, right?
Right.
So for our viewers, I can let you know that, because the word's still getting out, that we're waiting for the official ribbon cutting this spring, but we did an unofficial kind of press event ourselves in December, because that's when the construction gates came down. So for those of you that don't know, there was a $26 million project started in Blackstone to South Uxbridge to build a 3.7 mile. It's where it is right now. It's an extension of the Greenway.
Right.
Running
Rhode
from-
Island has got it going all the way through now.
Right, and we're making there's things happening, permitting to eventually connect it. The whole goal, as we know, is from Worcester to Providence.
Right.
Okay, but this little segment from Blackstone to Uxbridge took over 10 years. And you mentioned the beautiful bridges, so you can access it. I think personally the most beautiful place to start is in Blackstone, and it's on Canal Street, 93 Canal Street, behind Main Street in Blackstone. And you get on there's a beautiful parking area, benches, bike racks, and it crosses over several bridges. You get into Millville, you cross over Central Street, and it continues into Uxbridge, and it ends at 1 Adams Street, which you get to off the Quaker Highway by the McDonald's. There's a street, so you kind of take that street and go down. But it's 3.7 miles, and you don't have to be a bicyclist. Beautiful walking trail. But the most beautiful vistas, personally, if you're not going to do the whole 3.7, start in Blackstone, because that's where you immediately, as you drive in.
Does it go through the gorge?
No, the gorge is separate.
Oh, okay.
The gorge is separate.
That's something else that's nice down there.
Yep, on County Street. So if you come to Blackstone, do the Greenway, and then as you're heading out, you can go at the end of County Street. It's kind of like a dead end. When you go, you'll know you're there, because when you go down the hill, you'll see.
Well, you have no choice. It ends.
Yep,
But there's a
beautiful
parking area there.
Yep.
I've taken my granddaughter down there.
Yep.
But now, we didn't make it that far into the gorge. It's quite a walking trail, isn't it? To get into the real gorge?
Nope, you can see the gorge right there. And then you can go, there are trails off in the woods, but the big,
I seem to
beautiful.
remember a bigger gorge than what I saw.
Nope, the beautiful waterfall is right there, so you don't have to go hiking. But we were talking earlier about trails and whatnot, and so the more time I spend here, I meet more people, and they tell me about certain trails that maybe we don't know about. Like, everybody knows Riverbend Farm, and
Yep.
but there's a lot of other trails that aren't even advertised. There's no signage. So one day I was on one. He told me about it. He said it was in Burrowville, Rhode Island, behind the middle school. That's all I knew, and he said it was his favorite of all the trails around. And I thought, well, what is this? So I literally parked behind the school, looked for any sort of opening, got myself on the trail, and just kept going down because I could hear the river. And it's the most beautiful trail system.
Really?
And I was inspired, and I remember
Now, that's not the Blackstone.
No, it was the Branch River.
Yeah,
But
right.
I got inspired, and I went back to work, and I said, I have an idea. I said, we have a bike patrol volunteer program. We have a paddle club volunteer program. How about a trail ambassador program? Okay? And my thinking is that find these passionate hikers that like to hike, that know the trails, help us catalog these trails, so we can create a nice website and list all the trails,
with a trail map.
Get the information, rate them, difficulty, parking, all these little things that you want to know about a trail. And the ambassador piece is to leave it better than we find it. So if they're walking there regularly, please bring a bag, and clean it up as you go. So we just had a meeting last week.
We got to wrap it up.
And it's kicking off, so stay tuned. We're doing National Trails Day, June 3rd, at the Hopedale Parklands.
Okay.
So keep tabs on us.
Thank you for watching in. Thank you for coming in, Bonnie.
Thank you.
Hopefully you'll get involved with the cleanup coming up in April, and not this weekend, but next weekend.
April 21 and 22.
April 21 and 22. We get so many
Thank
things
you.
going on, I'm getting mixed up.
Thank you.
We'll see you next week on About the Valley.